Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Lives Falcons versus Titans post-game special. I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Adnan Ikic. I'm Kevin Knight, in case you didn't know. We are here to, talk about that abomination that some may call a football game. That was the Falcons' Week 4 loss to the Titans. Atlanta was in a 10-point hole before you could blink, and they were not able to even put up a fight in the second half. At least last week, they put some good football on tape in that second half. There was none of that to be found this week. They failed on fourth down, what was it, four times in this game?
Three times, I think.
Yeah, and generally just looked inept on both sides of the ball. Couldn't get anything going. The defense got totally just blasted. Teams have clearly caught on to Quinn's scheme here. And the whole team just kind of looked uninterested for the most part. So, Adnan, let's get into this, and obviously we'll take your guys' questions as well. So throw those in the chat if you have them. Yeah, Adnan. So, what words would you use to describe the Week 4 performance here?
Well, you used the word uninterested to describe the team. I'm uninterested in having Dan Quinn as the head coach of my football team anymore. So, I mean, I've stuck with it. I never like to be completely reactionary. Even after week 1, we sat here and we're like, all right, we're gonna right the ship. Week 2, to be honest, this team is at one Nelson Aguilar drop away from being 0-4, and we suffered 3 really, really ugly losses in these first 4 weeks. I think Dan Quinn, it just looks like he's lost the team. Like, his defense, he's a defensive specialist of a head coach. His defense has been terrible, just awful. I don't care for excuses about, lost Keanu Neal. What about when Keanu Neal played against the Colts and against the Vikings?
Right.
It's just ridiculous how much talent is being squandered by this team year in and year out at this point. And I mean, we're a few years left in the Matt Ryan era. We have a great quarterback. We have a great wide receiver, a great core that should be competing right now, but we're not because of coaching. Dan Quinn gets out-coached every single week. And I mean, I've been on the Quinn train, just give it time. It's year 5, and we're seeing the same mistakes that we'd be seeing in year 1. So at this point, I'm over it. Part ways with Quinn. I don't even want to delay it because we know it's going to happen eventually. I don't care for delaying it until the bye week. I don't care for delaying it until the off season. I'm sure they will, however, but I mean, it's going to happen. It might as well happen right now. Move on. Dirk Cutter would be your interim head coach, which isn't great either.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking forward to starting fresh this off season. With a new head coach and a new general manager, because Thomas Dimitrov, he's worn out his welcome as well. It's time for a replacement there as well. So that's the main thing. I came into this game saying, all right, if we have another terrible showing, if we lose this game, I'm over Quinn as the head coach, and that's exactly what happened. This team's at 1-3. It's probably not going to do much for the rest of the year. I'm ready to completely clean house. You can't fire offensive and defensive coordinators every year.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of the interesting thing about the strategy that Quinn went with, which was like, let's fire everyone else. I'm the savior. Now, the thing is, like, when you do that, now you have to be the savior, and if the team fails again, there's no one else to point the finger at. Like, it's you. It's been you this whole time. I can't believe we didn't see it before. This type of stuff. Like, if you push all your chips to the middle of the table and you take over the team, then it's you that's the problem. And it's pretty clear now that maybe that's been the problem all along. Maybe not. Maybe it's been worse this year than previous years. But it just seems that the league has figured out Quinn's tendencies on defense. They attack the team the same way every week, and Quinn refuses to adjust. I mean, we're playing soft zone with our corners 5 to 8 yards off pretty much every single down. And teams are just eating us on those little short routes, and they know there's a soft spot in the middle of that zone, and they're just hitting those play action passes. Yeah.
Every time there is no there's no adjustments. There's nothing being made in terms of it's Dan Quinn's way or the highway out there. And I mean, we went crazy over this last week on social media, just giving cushion every single time with the cornerbacks, forcing your cornerbacks to play on one side of the field, never blitzing, even though the team can't get any pressure. Like it's ridiculous how hard-headed and stubborn he's being, and at the end of the day, it's going to cost him his job.
Yeah, exactly. And we talked about this on Wednesday's show, Evan and I, but they need to go out and get an offensive head coach because this
Yes, I
this
agree.
obsession with trying to make the defense a thing needs to end. Like, stop it with that. Like, this is an offensive team. It's always been an offensive team. It should be an offensive team. Like, stop pretending that this team's going to compete with its defense because maybe if Vic Fangio gets one and done, we can bring in Fangio as our DC. I would love that. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, maybe not so good a head coach, but go get an offensive guy, get someone that knows how to actually utilize three wide receivers in here because it's just an abomination how much they're squandering this talent. Like, and that's part of the reason. Like, it kind of is like I think it's a touchy subject with Dimitrov because I do think that Dimitrov has gotten this team enough talent to compete, but the coaching hires haven't been there. So then you're stuck with what do you do? What do you do with Dimitrov in this situation?
I mean, to be honest, with Dimitrov, I feel like he was tied to Dan Quinn the moment Dan Quinn came in here as the head coach. It's super rare for a general manager to be able to go through two head coach firings and still survive. And I mean, Dimitrov, he's done a decent job since Quinn got here. And one thing that I've never criticized Quinn over is bringing in talent, especially through the draft. And that's what we did with Dan Quinn. But the problem is we can't utilize that talent. We can't leverage that talent into wins. The one year when we did have actual success was when Kyle Shanahan was running the show. And I've no doubt in my mind that that Super Bowl run was more Kyle Shanahan than anything else. Take away that Super Bowl run and look and put the records side by side, and with Dan Quinn you have Mike Smith 2.0, and
Basically, yeah.
we're seeing the end, probably the end of the Dan Quinn era, the same way we saw the end of the Mike Smith era in terms of have some success, then the team collapses, have those injuries, have that as an excuse last year. He's given another chance this year, just like Mike Smith was in 2014. Smith failed in 2014. Quinn is failing in 2019, and I think we'll see the same result. And I completely agree with bringing in an offensive-minded head coach. That's just the way the league is going toward. And I mean, we'll probably talk about this more in the coming weeks, especially if the Falcons keep losing. But my dream scenario for a head coach would be Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, we talked about that on Wednesday too. Yeah.
That's my number one. I would throw all of the money at Lincoln Riley right now because that man's a genius when it comes to quarterback play. You saw what Jalen Hurts did in Alabama versus what he's doing now at Oklahoma. He's a legitimate Heisman candidate right now.
Yeah.
This could be the third straight year he develops a Heisman. Even Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield isn't all that in the NFL. Like, I'm sorry, he had a good little run last year. Of course, the jury's still out, but
yeah, I
Baker
mean, he had
Mayfield,
a pretty decent game today, I guess. I mean, a lot of that's Chubb, but
yeah, Baker Mayfield was killing it at Oklahoma, like to the point where he was the number one pick. So I mean, that would be my dream scenario for a head coach, and Vic Fangio absolutely is the defensive coordinator. It could be one of those Sean McVay type things where you just let him take full control of the offense, bring in a very veteran, very savvy defensive coordinator, and let him just have full autonomy of the defense, just like Wade Phillips at over in Los Angeles right now.
No, yeah, I totally get that, and I agree. I love that potential pairing. I mean, obviously that's like an ideal world scenario. That would be like a pipe dream if that could actually happen. We'll see. So far no NFL team has been able to lure Lincoln Riley out of Oklahoma. But like we said before, the talent is there with the Falcons that maybe Riley thinks he can take this team and take it to the Super Bowl. So
I was gonna say, in fairness, no team that's tried to lure him out of Oklahoma has had Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. on their roster either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, look, I see people trying to bury Matt Ryan, and like you guys are way, way off base with blaming Matt Ryan like for any of these struggles. Like, you know, Tyrone James, like I'm not trying to throw you under the bus specifically, but you know, you're saying that the one consistent thing between Mike Smith and Dan Quinn is Matt Ryan, and both teams feel the same. Like the thing that's the same between those is that neither Mike Smith or Dan Quinn's defense can hold a lead or stop the opponent. Like that means you're forcing Matt Ryan to dig out of like 17-point holes in the halves after the half, and you know you're blowing big leads. Like that's what's consistent between those two coaches. There's like trying to blame Matt Ryan for this is just I don't like. I get that you're mad, but like be reasonable here. Like obviously Ryan's had a pretty shaky start to the season in terms of the turnovers, but there's like 30 other people you can point to before we get to Matt Ryan being an issue on this team.
Yeah, there's been no run game. We saw a bunch of drops, and I'm not saying that Matt Ryan is completely blameless.
No.
He had that very bad fumble in this game. He's had some very bad interceptions, but Matt Ryan isn't the problem with the Atlanta Falcons. The defense and the coaching is the problem. The problem is that this team gets out-coached week in and week out. All 4 weeks this season, the team has been completely out-coached. Like even against that Eagles, even in that Eagles game that we won, we only won because Matt Ryan called that audible to Julio Jones for that screen pass. Without that, we lose that game. Without Nelson Aguilar having stone hands, we lose that game. We'd be sitting here at 0-4 right now.
Yeah, it's totally true, and you know, Dan Quinn probably would have been fired after this game if they were 0-4. You know, it's not too late. You know, we still got the rest of the week to see if that happens. But
yeah, maybe winning that game against the Eagles was a curse at the end of the day.
Maybe, yeah, but it's gonna keep us from that number 1 pick. You know.
Tank.
No, bring me Chase Young and like let's see what happens. You know, I'm into that for sure. But yeah, I mean, really, it really comes down to coaching for me. Like, I know people are saying, the Falcons can't win in the trenches, but like the Falcons honestly have been actually pretty good at stopping the run. Like, I know you probably
they contained Henry today.
Yes, Henry only averaged 3.7 yards per carry. He had 27 carries for only 100 yards. Like, they were doing a good job at stopping Henry. The problem was A.J. Brown had 31 yards per catch. Corey Davis had 18 yards per catch. Like, I mean, that's why you lost the game, not trench play. I mean, they were getting pressure on Mariota. They were stopping the run. Like, it's the coverage scheme that's the problem.
Yeah, and I don't know what Desmond Trufant was doing, especially on that first touchdown to A.J. Brown, where he just I don't know where he was going with that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
the second one, that was just a phenomenal play by Brown. Like the adjustment that he made with his body. Like I don't know there's too much Trufant could have done better on that second touchdown. But the first one, I mean, it was just a joke, that whole play.
But the problem on that second touchdown is the fact that the Titans were in a 3rd and 15 on their own side of the field, and they converted it because Dan Quinn lined his cornerbacks up, and I think he lined his cornerbacks up behind the line to gain, the first down line, and he always does that.
Yeah, that picket fence style. Yeah,
we always play some version of that prevent, where it's just like, all right, let them have anything underneath. Here's the problem. There's something called yards after the catch, where if a wide receiver catches a ball, he's allowed to keep running after he makes that catch.
Mm-hmm.
Your players have to be perfect tackling for Dan Quinn's scheme to work, and obviously they're not, because every single year we have the same issue where the defensive players miss tackles week in and week out, and they give up those yards after the catch week in and week out. And at this point it's a coaching problem, that and the penalties. We had a few penalties. I'm not going to blame Dan Quinn for that penalty that destroyed our last offensive drive, because that was just a boneheaded play by Alex Mack. I have no idea what this man is doing. I love Alex Mack. He's a veteran on this team, but you have got to be smarter. There's nothing that helped at all. Like, you didn't help the drive at all by just body slamming onto the defensive player. And I mean, that's another case where I don't know what you want Matt Ryan to do about it. He got the first down, or nearly the first down, and then next thing you know, he's lining up 1st and 25.
Yep, exactly. And I think that play kind of exemplifies what's happened, is that the players are incredibly frustrated to the point where they're making dumb decisions because they don't. I personally think that after this game, I think that Quinn has probably lost the locker room. Like that they just it's when you see someone as like Mac is the like one of the longest tenured veterans on the team, like one of the smartest, most savvy players, and he's out there body slamming people because he's so frustrated. Like, I mean, to me that just kind of sums it up. Like, everyone's incredibly frustrated with what's going on, and it just seems like Quinn never has any answers in situations.
But
like
that's
this.
okay, Kevin, because he'll just think up a new T-shirt, a new slogan for this week,
and
we'll just keep going.
Can we can the T-shirts? All right, we see 2 T-shirts now, and I'm done with the T-shirts. Okay, we're 0-2 coming off T-shirt wearing.
The thing about the T-shirts is, and for the record, just a nice promotion. I'm wearing the new Falcoholic T-shirts, which is available.
Available for purchase, folks.
Available for purchase. I mean, the thing about the T-shirts is it's cute when you're winning. Like in 2016, we're going to the Super Bowl, and it's the brotherhood out there. It's so nice. This team is so together. When you're losing, just shut your mouth and focus on the game film. Just focus on the product on the field when you're losing, because I mean, nobody wants to hear it about the brotherhood, and nobody wants to hear it about how you're a BD, MTFKER. When you're losing. I just can't stand it. That just I don't want to think about the Falcons over the course of the week.
Yeah.
And those stupid T-shirts forced me to think about the Falcons.
I had to and the sad thing was, it was after the Eagles game, it's all right, you want to wear the T-shirt, that's cool. Just don't get blown off the turf on the very next game, and then do it again the game after that. Like, if you're gonna wear shirts like that, play good football. Like, look like a good team. Don't phone it in.
And it wasn't just the T-shirt; it was the dancing in the locker room.
Yeah. It
was just like, what are you doing? Don't record it. You can celebrate. Don't record it and put it on the internet, because and then lose every single week afterwards. It's I don't know, man. I'm kind of heated right now. Like, this team is 1-3.
I'm heated.
So looking forward to this season, and they just it's the same old ish that we saw last.
It's last
season.
year again. I mean, this time they don't have any excuses. Like last year, it was like a perfect storm of injuries. So it was easy to say, there's a problem. Like, obviously, those injuries took a toll. But now they just lost Neal. Obviously, a big deal. But, they haven't lost every single defensive leader like they did last year. And the defense looks exactly the same. Looks exactly the same as last year. Looks terrible. Except for the run defense. I will give the run defense credit. The run defense is the one unit, I think, outside of the first game, when, to be honest, they really weren't that bad. They allowed 4.5 yards per carry, even with Dalvin Cook going off on 3 huge runs, they still only allowed 4.5 yards per carry. The run defense has been solid. Everybody else, get out.
Here's the problem with that, though. If this was the 80s, then fantastic. We're shutting down the run. We're not letting them. We're setting the edge, stop the run, and they're done.
John Gruden's getting hot and bothered talking about that.
Bears out here. The problem is, it's 2019. Stopping the run isn't enough when it's a passing league nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't stop the pass, you're done. You're finished. You can't do it, and we cannot stop the pass at all.
No.
If Case Keenum came in with the Redskins next week, I have no doubt that he'd throw for probably 300 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns on us.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just bad football. And it's schematic stuff for the most part. Why did you draft Isaiah Oliver if we're just going to play him 5 to 8 yards off every play? You're just saying, okay, we know you're a long corner. We don't care. Your best trait, we're just not going to use that. We're going to make you, break on the ball and, tackle in space and, carry guys downfield and all this. You have a 6'1" corner with 98th percentile arms, and you're playing him 8 yards off the line. What is your problem? God damn, man. High school coaches don't make these mistakes. It's just ridiculous.
And it's so frustrating, and it's stuff that you can fix. This is all stuff that it's not like we're going out here and Jacoby Brissett is just having the game of his life against us, and you just have to tip your cap. It's not like Mariota just came out like gangbusters in this game. It's missed tackles. It's penalties. It's stupid stuff like playing your cornerbacks 5 yards off the line on 3rd and 1. You're just inviting them to just kill you by 1,000 cuts. Sure, you're not going to give up that 80-yard touchdown, but who cares if you give up 80 yards on the next 10 plays?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I've tried to make it clear to you guys, like you're talking about they were scared to tackle Henry. They played Derrick Henry well. Stop like slandering the run defense, okay? Those were the only guys that showed up today. So like I need to give credit. Like Tyler Davison, somehow he got defensive holding penalties. Tyler Davison got 2 of them.
3 times.
3 times. That is
the defensive line.
That is a play. That is a flag that is almost never thrown. So that's just really weird. First of all, but like they played Henry about as well as you could expect. But like Mariota was like what 75% passing or more. Like he none of these throws are being contested. Like you can't like if you're gonna play 5 to 8 yards off, that means you can't contest throws. That means you're not going to cause turnovers. And I mean, are you just expecting your guys to be elite tacklers all the time, and you're going to give guys free releases constantly? Expect your guys to come up and make great tackles? I mean, it's just nonsensical. Like maybe this rigid Seattle defense worked great, 5-10 years ago. It doesn't work great anymore though. Look at Seattle. They play tons of man now. They mix in man and press and all kinds of stuff. They don't just sit there and play vanilla cover 3 every single down.
Yeah, and with Seattle, the thing is that they could do that back in the day because they had the talent for it. They had the Legion of Boom. They had Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas. I still think Earl Thomas was a top 3 defensive player in the entire NFL, like in the middle of his prime.
Yes, one of the most talented defenses we've ever seen. Exactly.
Yeah, and the thing is, they also had the thing that people talk about rarely with that Seattle team. They had talent on all three phases of the defense. It wasn't just the secondary, even though the secondary was the most famous. At linebacker, they had KJ Wright, they had Bobby Wagner. At pass rushers, they had Cliff Averill just rushing the passer. They had Michael Bennett. They could do this kind of stuff because they had talent all over the place. The Atlanta Falcons defense were not the 2013 Seattle Seahawks. Yeah. Like the Seahawks won a title based off the strength of their defense and just like Russell Wilson game managing as a rookie. Like Dan Quinn, he's making this defense bite off more than it can chew, and he's asking these players to do too much, and it really is a schematical error. Yeah. Because I just don't even know what to say. Like it's the same stuff every single week and every single year. I mean, I just don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's puzzling. Like, this is a defense that needs to be aggressive and press and, like, get up on guys and, like, play physical football. Like, why are we terrified of the Titans receivers? Like, why are we terrified of the Colts receivers minus T.Y. Hilton? Like, I don't get it. Like
the Titans receivers didn't have a single touchdown going into this game.
Exactly. And they're giving them 8-yard cushions like it's like they're playing against our receivers. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like we saw against the Eagles, this team actually played, some press man, and like they got up on those receivers and contested catches, and they looked actually like a quality defense for a lot of that game. And then they just abandoned that. Like they haven't done that again.
And I'm not saying that the defense isn't talented. This defense has talent, but I'm saying they're not as talented as the Seahawks a few years ago. With the right scheme, this defense can be top 15. It can be in the top half of the league. And with this offense, that's all we need. And I mean, let's not start passing the blame away and just like ignoring the fact that our offensive coordinator, Dirk Cutter, he sucked.
Oh yeah.
Like he's it's so vanilla out there. That's one of the reasons why I want one of those young modern minds as an offensive head coach. And we made fun of Arizona for hiring Cliff Kingsbury before the season. Yeah. I would trade our coaching staff for Arizona's right now, if we're being honest. I still remember it was week 2 for the Arizona Cardinals. I forgot who they were playing, but they were lined up first and goal at the 1-yard line. And they made this brilliant play to David Johnson. It was Kyler Murray lined up in the shotgun. David Johnson was to the left of him. They bring Christian Kirk. I think it was Christian Kirk in motion. And Kyler Murray takes the snap, and he had the opportunity. He had the option to either hand it off to Johnson, hand it to Kirk, or keep the ball and run in himself. It was just like basically like kind of a triple option type play, and the defense was just paralyzed by how much they had to like cover. There's no way they could just cover everything. So he ended up to David Johnson, who went in just completely untouched.
Mhm.
I'm looking at that, and then that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like it's not even that hard, but it's just like it was a brilliant play by the Cardinals. And then I'm looking at us. It's, oh yeah, we're gonna line up, as Mike Mularkey used to say, exotic smash mouth. It's like it's the 70s, just running I formation, and our offensive line obviously isn't good enough to get that push like we thought it would be this year. And then we're going over there 4th and 1. Devontae Freeman is met in the backfield, or met at the line of scrimmage, and
it's 4th and 1, and you take your receivers off the field, bring in Justin Hardy, get your fullback and your 2 tight ends out there, line up for that exotic smash route, then get stuffed for a loss. Like, we don't need Dirk Cutter or any offensive coordinator come in and call that crap. Like, Matt Ryan would be better off.
I call that on Madden. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't have to be exactly what I just said. Matt Ryan obviously isn't a running quarterback, but look at what the Los Angeles Rams do. Almost every single play, they're running either Brandon Cooks or Robert Woods in motion, so that they can just like give you the threat of that end around play to the wide receiver. And maybe they just ignore the wide receiver and give it to Todd Gurley anyway. But still, it's just the threat of that happening, which just keeps the defense on their heels a little bit. It makes it a little bit tougher for the defensive coordinators. Whereas you look at us, and it's rarely motion ever. There's no RPOs. It's just the same vanilla stuff over and over again. And I mean, we need to bring in someone who can make full use of this talent that we have on offense, because we're squandering it.
Yeah.
It's year 11, or is it year 11 or year 12 of the Matt Ryan era right now? And we don't have that much. We've lost so many years to bad coaching every single year. And had this team won the Super Bowl, had it held on, then I wouldn't be this pressed right now, because it's like, all right, at least Matt Ryan like won a Super Bowl for us. I want to see this man win a title. I want to see the city win a title. But not only have we not won a title, but we came so close.
And then blew it. And then we've been blowing it ever since.
Blew it.
Yeah. Let's not go down that road, okay? I'm had enough today. But yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we doing here? Like, this is 2019. We see all these teams. We see the Chiefs. Look at the Chiefs. It's like beauty on the field every single game on this offensive coaching. Like, you could just watch whatever the Chiefs do, write down the plays they do, and run that, and we'd be scoring at least 20 points a game. Like, Dirk Cutter can't score 10 points at home against the Titans. Man. And to be fair, the Titans are like a good defense. Like, they're not like a pushover defense or anything. But like, this team scored 10 points at home is a joke. Like, Matt Ryan could go out there with some backyard football plays and should be able to score more than 10 points. Like, why are we not running 11 personnel? Like, what is the problem here? Like, why did we draft Calvin Ridley? Why are we paying Mohamed Sanu $8 million if we're gonna run 2 tight end sets?
And I'm sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
But how are you not scheming Calvin Ridley open? This man has had 2 catches in the last 2 weeks. And in fairness, he did have a drop today. But he had 1 target last week. Calvin Ridley is one of the most talented young wide receivers in the entire NFL. He was a first-round draft pick. He's one of the crispest route runners in the NFL. How are you just like... How is this man not getting open? How are you not setting something up in the scheme? You have Julio Jones to the opposite side of him. Julio Jones demands extra coverage every single time, and you can't work with it. One of the things that Kyle Shanahan did better than anyone that has controlled this Falcons offense, he noticed that Julio Jones was always getting double covered, and he made you pay for it.
Yeah.
He schemed those routes perfectly to where someone was going to be open every single time, whether that be Mohamed Sanu, whether that be Taylor Gabriel or Jacob Tammy or Austin Hooper.
Aldrick Robinson, for God's sake. Yeah.
Literally, Aldrick Robinson in 2015. In 2016, Matt Ryan had a touchdown pass to 13 different wide receivers, still an NFL record. And then we're over here, Steve Sarkisian, like, everything festers right now. Everything comes back up. in terms of the mistakes that Dan Quinn has made. Whereas if everything was fine now, we'd forget about it and we'd move on. But now, because everything is as it is, we go back to, why did you hire Steve Sarkisian in the first place? Someone who has no real experience as the offensive coordinator. Why'd you give him the keys to this Ferrari that we were just riding?
And then why did you go back to Dirk Cutter, who we know what this offense is with him at the helm at its best, and it's not good enough.
Yeah, in fairness, I was satisfied when we brought in Dirk Cutter, but I did not think that it would be just this vanilla. Like,
yes,
it's 2019, man. Look at what Sean McVay is doing with the Rams. Look at what Kingsbury is doing with the Cardinals. You can't just keep doing this same stuff, repetitive stuff over and over again.
Yeah, I mean,
it's adapt or die.
Exactly, and like, I think we liked the idea of Cutter coming in because he had experience with Ryan. They said all the right things, like, oh yeah, we're gonna incorporate the Shanahan stuff. We're gonna make this a new offense. We're gonna take the favorite parts of all the previous 3 offenses. We're gonna meld this together and make this great offense. And they're not. They're just going to a Cutter offense. 2 tight ends. It doesn't matter who the 2 tight ends are. Austin Hooper's great, so 1 tight end's worth putting on the field. But Luke Stalker's a featured target in the offense. We're running Keith Smith at fullback on a lot of plays. Like, we're just wasting our time. Like, what if you're not running 11 personnel? What are you doing? Like, 11 personnel gets all the players we need on the field. Like, the Rams have proven you don't need to run anything but 11 personnel. They run at 93% of plays. Like, there's no situation, there's no clutch situation. So there should be 0 third downs and 0 fourth downs where Julio, Sanu, Ridley, Hooper are not on the field. All of those players should be on the field, outside of, I guess, an injury situation or something. All of those people should be on the field every third and fourth down, every red zone play, without question. And that's just to start. That's before you even talk about route concepts or anything. Like, if we can't even get there, what the hell are we doing? This is the NFL, man.
And I think the most frustrating part for me is just the sheer amount of time wasted. Like, this division is up for grabs this year. Drew Brees is hurt for 6 weeks. Even if he comes back, we don't know if he'll be the same. That's a thumb injury on his throwing hand, and Brees is getting older anyway. The Saints, if they lose tonight, they're 2-2. We're only 1 game back of the division. Like, that's the insane part to me. It's not like we have the Cowboys in our division right now and they're 3-0 or possibly 4-0 hopefully 4-0 after tonight. But it's like we're wasting time. We have a golden opportunity to win this division this year. Have that home game. Maybe be playing some good football at the end of the year. But we're not. We're just like, we're wasting it. We're squandering this. Julio Jones is over 30 right now. Matt Ryan is 34?
Yeah.
It's going to be over soon. Like, we have this incredible core. We have all of this talent, and we've taken a step back since we went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, we've taken a step. We took a step back in 2017. Now we've taken another step back since then. Whereas everyone around us, all of those NFC teams that were chasing us in 2016, they've chased us down and they've pulled ahead of us. Now we're chasing, but we're sputtering, and I don't think that we're taking any more steps forward with Dan Quinn at the helm.
Yeah, and that's the sad thing, because like, I think Dan Quinn seems like a genuinely good dude.
Yeah,
like,
I like him as a guy.
Everybody likes him as a person. But like, this is the same story, different day for the past 3 years. Like, the defense has been toothless, and the talent has gotten better every season, and the defense has it's not getting any better. And there's only one place to point the finger now,
Yeah, at this point, it's coaching. Last year, you got the opportunity. You cleaned house. You got rid of all of your coordinators, and you can't do that again as a head coach. You can't just expect to just like, all right, let me get rid of my coordinators again, and I'll stay and I'll continue. We'll just run it back again this season. Like, the next dude is Dan Quinn. His head is now on the chopping block.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, if they don't win a game going into the bye, he's gone, man. He's toast. Like, he could, if they lose, the next couple days, like, they lose to the Cardinals, if they, like, let's be honest, they're probably going to lose to the Titans next week. It's a road game against a really good team.
Texans.
Texans. Yeah, sorry, all these AFC South T teams. They're getting me.
AFC South teams that are just destroying us week in and week out, like every single year.
Every week, man. Yeah.
How do we just keep losing to these inferior AFC teams?
1-11 since 2017.
I'm just going back to 2017, where sure that team won 10 games, fine, great, they made the playoffs. If that team wins 12 games, we have a first-round bye and potential home field advantage. And you know what those 2 games that we lost were? We lost to the Bills and we lost to the Dolphins after being up 17-0, and we lose to Jay Cutler and the Dolphins.
I remember that game. I tried to forget. Thanks for reminding me. But yeah, no, I mean, that's what I was saying last week. Is like it seems like they treat these AFC games like a week off. Like they don't get up for the games. They don't prepare well. Like I mean, it's just like
the Dolphins head coach got caught doing crack,
doing blow in the locker room before the game.
He got caught snorting that white stuff before the game. We were coming off of a bye week and we lost that game.
Jesus, man,
we were up by 17 points.
Maybe Dan Quinn should have done some blow in the locker room. Maybe that would help it out. I don't know.
Everything is just coming back to me. I completely forgot about that. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's I tried to forget.
Browns for getting fired right there.
Right. I mean, I would have been pretty upset. And I know people are like dunking on the corners, but I think someone mentioned it when they were trying to compare Isaiah Oliver and Robert Alford. And the thing is, Quinn liked to use Alford like he should have used Oliver. Like he would play Alford up and press on giant receivers, and Alford would get toasted because he can't contest throws to those guys. And now he's playing Oliver like he should have used Alford, like 5 to 8 yards off the line of scrimmage where he can break on the ball and play smart in zone and get picks. Like Alford should have been doing that, and Oliver should have been doing what he was doing with Alford, but he's got it all backed up. Like I don't know. It's rough. Like they're just misusing the talent they have, and it sucks because this defense is talented enough now. Like we've seen when they played aggressive against the Eagles, they actually looked like a good defense. Like they were getting pressure, they were playing receivers tight, they were breaking up passes. I mean, Trufant had 2 picks for God's sake. And they just ditched that game plan outside of that game. It's like, well, we're going to get up to play the Eagles. We're going to play them tight, because this is a game we got to win. And now that we're playing these AFC teams, it's like, okay, let's just do soft zone, and we're just going to waltz in here, leave with a win, and it's going to be all gravy, and then you suck. So, like, miss me with that scheme.
Yeah, and they're so cocky. They're so confident. They were so confident going into that Colts game. Can't be that confident and then let Jacoby Brissett complete his first 16 passes to someone who had thrown for 300 yards like 3 times in his entire career. Then you just let him gash you.
Yeah. I mean, it's just an embarrassment. I mean, that's what it is at this point. It's an embarrassment how much they've squandered this talent, because I don't think that the talent is bad. I think players are not being utilized well, and they look bad. But, like, look at the defenses that are out there playing. But, like, Kansas City's defense looks functional, and that defense is bad. Like, the talent in that defense is not good, and they're able to be functional because they're schemed, like, decently. Like, they're able to at least create some turnovers for Mahomes to take advantage of. Like,
and it was the same thing in 2016. You used your offense to help your defense out, but the problem is we can't do that anymore because our offense isn't doing it. We don't have Kyle Shanahan, and I really miss Kyle Shanahan right now. Like, say what you want about him not running the ball, he had that huge ego, but what Falcons fan wouldn't take Kyle Shanahan back right now? And
10 years, $100 million guaranteed. Who says no?
The head coach, sign on the dotted line, Kyle. Yeah. I'm sorry for all the mean
I'm
things
so
I've
sorry,
said about
Kyle.
you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, but. No, I mean it's just sad. Like and it's I think I get the idea behind hiring the defensive head coach. It's like the offensive personnel is so good, we should be like what we really need to fix is the defense. So you go out and hire a defensive head coach. You think that's going to produce a good defense, but defensive head coaches now we have lots of statistics to look at and things like that. Defensive head coaches are very rarely good. Head coaches. The teams are rarely good. Like Bill Belichick is the biggest example of a good defensive head coach, but there's only one Bill Belichick. Like he's a huge difference maker for that
He's a
team.
genius. Bill
But
Belichick, you
yeah,
can't compare other coaches to Bill Belichick because he's the greatest head coach of all time.
yeah. But when you think of the
Like,
other great coaches in the league, you think of the offensive guys, right? And the Andy Reeds and I guess I hesitate to call Sean Payton a great head coach, but
better than what we have.
he's had a consistently good offense. I'll tell you that much.
Yep. I mean, you look at even in Indianapolis, Frank Reich has done a
Yeah.
fantastic job. Even while losing your franchise quarterback, like the Colts are in a better position than we are right now, and they lost their franchise quarterback unexpectedly right before the season started. That's insane.
I mean, it's just ridiculous that we have to sit here and talk about cleaning house after 4 games because of how poorly they've managed this talent. And the scheme has been a problem on offense, but I give more of a pass to the offense because they've lost 2 starting right guards now. For a certain time in this game, Alex Mack went out and they had to play Ty Sombrero at right guard. Like that unit is adjusting to a new scheme. It's this and that. I don't have any like patience whatsoever for the defense because this is like year 5 of a Quinn defense. Every year we hear about, we're going to make some adjustments and it's going to be good this year. And the talent level keeps getting better and the play doesn't get any better. And it's like the team has the same problems every single year. They can't hold on to leads. They get down early. They're undisciplined. They're super streaky, but not always. Not other than 2016, they've not been streaky in a good way. We see them lose a bunch of games and just sleepwalk into these AFC contests. I mean, it starts at the top, and that's the only place left to point the finger. So.
And this isn't just like, oh yeah, no, he had a bad week this week, so now we want him gone. This is a culmination of everything.
Yes.
Like this is and you and me, we haven't just sat here like beating the fire Dan Quinn drum.
Yeah.
Like we've preached patience. It's give it time. Give it some time. He'll figure it out. Made the Super Bowl. He deserves some time. Injuries. He deserves another year. Now it's like, where are the excuses? Like they've run out. You've had time.
Yeah.
This is year 5.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say, nobody can say that we haven't given Dan Quinn as much time as he's needed. Like in year 5, this isn't year 1 anymore. It's not like 2015 when we started off 5-0 and finished 8-8. It's not 2017 where the offense just took a step back and you can blame your offensive coordinator for that. It's not 2018 where you can just blame the injuries. There's no one to blame. There's no one to point the finger at anymore except for the man at the top. And I mean, like we said, Dan Quinn's a great guy, and I wish the best for him in life. But Mike Smith was also a great guy. People described him as like the nicest man ever.
Yeah.
But this is a business.
Yeah.
It's a results-oriented business, and we're not getting the results.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly right, and that's where we're at. We're at the point where it's put up or shut up time. Prove that you can get this team. We're not putting up at all, and it's like prove that you can get this team back on track. You've got until the bye. Get to 5. I mean, it might be that get to 500 by the bye or you're done. I mean, because if you're not 500 going into that bye, I don't think you're winning any. You're probably not competing for the playoffs. So
it won't be easy either. Next week we go to the Texans, then we go to Arizona. And
that's by far the most winnable game. But yeah, I mean, that's not even a sure thing. I mean, that's the most winnable game. It's like you said, Texans, Arizona.
Today should have been a winnable game.
This was the most winnable one left.
Winnable game until the bye.
Yeah.
We lost. And then after that, you get the reward of 2 games against the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. Yep. So buckle up because I can't wait to see what Sean McVay does to Dan Quinn's vanilla defense.
Yeah. It's gonna be a rough one, that's for sure. But I mean, yeah, we could be going into the bye with draft takes on tap. So thankfully, I think you'll be back on the show by the bye week.
It's 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks of me missing those Wednesdays. Then maybe a couple more Wednesdays after that until the end of the season. But mostly I'll be back. And I mean, I love being back right now.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yeah, of
it
course.
sucks. I hate that I missed the last couple post game shows, especially after not being here on Wednesdays. You know, I love hanging out here. I venting our frustrations all together, celebrating the wins. It's just, this is fun. You
Yeah,
know, this is
it
this
makes
is
me
way
feel
more
better.
fun.
That's for sure. Like I get to get out the anger now, and then I can go enjoy the rest of my evening and be like, okay, well, I've said everything that I need to say,
Yeah,
so there's really nothing else to do at this point.
this is way more fun than watching the Falcons just
Oh
like
yeah.
just lose, just get demolished by AFC teams. I enjoy this way more than I have the past 3 hours of my life.
Yeah. And yeah, I know folks are asking about Eric too. Eric will be back at some point. He's doing like a long-term work thing, so he's just he's just not able to do the shows. But we will get him back on here as well. And obviously, we're waiting with bated breath for Adnan to come back. But yeah, guys, if you don't mind throwing us a like and subscribe if you haven't done that before, we are up to an incredible 254 concurrent viewers, shattering all known records. That I've ever seen on this show, so that is just absurd. I think we've beaten the previous record by like almost 80 viewers. So you guys are awesome. Thank you for tuning in. So yeah, if you aren't already subscribed to this awesome channel, for your Falcons coverage, you definitely should. And if that's a little bit too far for you, then just the like, we'll accept that. So that it's very nice. But Adnan, anything you want to say to wrap us up before we try to go enjoy the rest of our football weekend?
It sucks. We're all Falcons fans, but and we're doing it now. But don't beat yourself up over this. It's
not worth it.
Sunday. Yeah, go. It's a beautiful day outside. Go take a walk. Yeah, have some ice cream. It sucks.
Crack
We're all,
open a
like, big
beer.
Falcons fans.
Whatever it is that you do.
Yeah, this isn't life or death though. It's just football. It's just a game at the end of the day. Well, I always think of sports as more than just a game, but at its very core, it is. And I mean, hopefully this team just like comes out the next few weeks and just like shuts us up and just like wins game after game until the bye and goes undefeated into the bye week. But let's be honest, that's probably not going to happen. This team seems like it's given up on this head coach. And when the team gives up on its head coach, it's time to move on from that head coach.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just so disappointing. And I totally get, you guys feeling on that because we're disappointed too. And, like part of it is like we do have to cover this team and write articles. And in my opinion, it's a lot more fun to write like, fun, like, oh, we won articles, here's some positive things to say, but like we also have to be ready to launch into them when they've done things wrong. And I think Adnan and I and a lot of the guests we have on the show, we're pretty fair about the Falcons. We've been accused of being perhaps a little too positive at times, and we are. I think we try to take things from a level-headed perspective, and that sometimes does lead to being a little slow to react. And I know a lot of people were like on the fire Quinn bandwagon after week 1, which I maintain was aggressive, but we've arrived at that point now where it's a legitimate, question to ask, and it's bad right now. So we're gonna need to see some miraculous stuff. But the Falcons definitely have a habit of just when we're about to get like 2 feet out the door, like we don't care anymore. Like I'm just gonna turn the game on in the background and play World of Warcraft or something. That's when they start to play well and get us invested again, just so they can crush our dreams one more time.
Yep.
So
yep. And the Braves NLDS starts this Thursday, baby.
Yes.
Yeah, game 1 is Thursday, game 2 is Friday. Atlanta sports fans,
buckle up.
It's time to start paying a lot. I'm not saying don't pay attention to the Braves. We should have been paying attention to the Braves all along, but it's time to start paying some serious attention to the Braves right now. The United will be in the playoffs too soon.
Yeah.
Hawks season starts very soon. So, it's not like the thing I love about this part of the year is when one of our teams sucks, at least we can fall back on another one.
Yes, and hopefully not every single one will suck. Atlanta United has been doing a great job carrying the torch of not sucking for Atlanta over the past few years. So great job, Atlanta United, breaking the championship drought, and good on those guys. And the Hawks, I think, look interesting. I mean, I don't watch a lot of basketball, but I do think that they look pretty interesting.
Very fun team.
So I'm excited to check that out. Maybe do a little bit more basketball watching because I know a lot of people like that. I enjoy it. I just don't have the technical knowledge like I do of football. So that'll be interesting. So we'll see, guys. We're up to 300 viewers now. Thank you guys so much. That just means a lot. That's just really cool to see. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. Yeah, so we're up over 50 minutes. These usually last like 30, but we had to get into like a serious thing here.
We had to get it all out.
Yeah, we had to get out those feels. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Misery loves company.
Yes, exactly. So clearly misery loves company. So you guys, are great for coming and hanging out with us, and we hope that this venting session has helped you out in some small way. Guys, I know there's probably a lot of new viewers here, so just to let you know, we do a Wednesday night show as well. It's at 8:10 p.m. Eastern, and we go for about an hour, and that's more of an analytical breakdown, less like rah-rah, which, that is fun, don't get me wrong, but more like these are the plays that specifically went wrong, and these are the players that we thought had good and bad performances. It's more of a breakdown, game recap type thing, and we'll obviously give an injury update, that sort of thing as well, so check that out. That's a lot of fun, and that's on Wednesday nights, like I said. But before we pack up, I do want to thank Adnan Ikic at Say Which Way for joining me this evening. Adnan, we miss you. We're waiting for you to come back with bated breath. Anything that you're working on that you'd like to plug?
Every week on Saturday, one of my articles publishes what if the Falcons win or lose this week. That's a hypothetical. They've been losing a lot.
Yep.
And also every Monday I write a fantasy football stud and dot article. So nothing about like the game, mostly everything from like a fantasy football and statistical perspective. So watch out for that.
Yeah, definitely, guys, check that out. And like I said, I'm Kevin Knight at Falcoholic Kevin on Twitter. Second part of my Morton Anderson interview went up on Saturday. That's a cool piece. We talked about Morton's, thoughts on the current state of kicking, how it's changed, some rule changes he wants to implement or would like to see, and then he also talked and gave us some pretty funny stories about his time with the Falcons, including a funny nickname that he was given by Dan Reeves. That's a pretty good story, so definitely check that out if you want to hear a little bit more about Mortensen there. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said, if you don't mind throwing us a like and a subscribe, that helps the channel in a big way. It's some analytical thing I don't quite understand fully, but it does help other people see the videos and the channel, so we appreciate all of you guys that toss us those metrics. And if you haven't been to the Falcoholic site before, I don't know where you get your Falcons coverage then, but the Falcoholic is just by far the best Falcons coverage written.
Oh, easily.
We have a great podcast as well that Gina Thomas and DW do, and you can look for that on the site and on your favorite podcast platforms. But we just appreciate all you guys for tuning in with us and making these losses a little more palatable. I enjoy these so much, and I enjoy the back and forth with you guys and with Adnan and with our other guests. So again, thank you. We appreciate you guys. And then we will hopefully see the Saints lose tonight. That'd be nice. We can always fall back on that. And
Schadenfreude. My favorite part of these last few years has been watching the Saints' misery.
Yes.
That's all of the joy I've been able to extract from this game of football. Just watching the Saints just blow it royally the last couple of years.
Yep, exactly. That has been my one source of joy while the Falcons have sucked. And you can call me petty. You can call me a Falcons fan. True Falcons fans, the number one thing you want to see is a Falcons win. Number two thing is a Saints loss. Okay, that's just how it goes. That's rules of the road.
It's the brand.
That's the brand. All right, guys, that's enough for us. Thank you again for tuning in. We will be back Wednesday night, 8:10 p.m. Eastern, and we'll get into this a little bit more, and hopefully, we'll see the team pull off some sort of miracle against the Texans. So far, they've played their best game against a contender, arguably in the Eagles, and they've played terribly the next two games against pretenders, so and so. So maybe they just turn it on against good teams and they play terribly against bad teams. I guess we'll see on this coming Sunday. But until then, guys, I'm Kevin. He is Adnan Ikic. We will talk to you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your football Sunday. Have a great night, folks.
Don't stress too much about it.
Yeah, don't stress too much. Try to enjoy your football Sunday and the rest of your weekend. We'll be here for you in the meantime. See you guys.